Hi everybody, this is Anne. Today I wanted to go over Unique Fabrics, which is our newest release. So we're gonna hop over into Daz Studio here. As you can see, I already have kind of a pre-done scene. I didn't think you guys wanted to sit through the simulations, but just in case you're curious, I am using Reese HD for Genesis 8 female, classic long curly hair with D-Force for Genesis 8 female, and then D-Force Pure Grace for Genesis 8 female. All of the poses that you'll see in my preset scenes are by the wonderfully gifted Eliandra. I'm friends with her, but also a fan. I love her poses, so if I wanted to put in here that, that's who the poses are by. I also have another preset scene using this other stuff. I'll go to that once I get to that scene. Anyways, to start out, to find the pack, you're going to want to go to Shader Presets, and then Art Collab, and then Unique Fabrics Merchant Resource. There is the slight possibility that by the time this goes through testing and everything, it might not be in the Art Collab folder. It's a 50-50 toss. If you don't see an Art Collab folder, then just look for Unique Fabrics Merchant Resource. Okay, so let's get started here. The first thing I want to point out is a camera thing, which seems weird since cameras don't come with the pack, but it was worth pointing out a couple things. One, let's switch into iRay preview mode here. If you are using the perspective view or one of these other views as your camera, then there's something called a headlamp that is on. Now, in the case of shader packs, sometimes the headlamp can be very pivotal, but then for rendering, a lot of times, like if you see here how the highlights are all blown off, they're all blown out rather than blown off. They're really super bright. You can't see any detail in these areas. It's just like really bright white. Generally, the solution to that is to either use a headlamp blocker, which I know Dimension Theory and a fair few others, Dimension Theory, sorry, I'm having a tongue-tied problem, so just ignore me. But Dimension Theory and I know a few others have packs that have headlamp blockers, which will block the headlamp in this view. Or what you can do so that you kind of have you have cameras that have headlamps and then some that don't is just add a camera. In this case I added two, so I'm going to switch to one of them now. Just add a camera that does not have a headlamp, and you can already see like everything's not near as bright as it was a minute ago. And the way you get to that is just normally when you're in here it'll be on auto, which there's your really bright version. You just want to switch it to off on the camera. What this does is makes it so that what is showing here isn't anything that kind of is in Daz Studio by default, but rather things that you're controlling, like the lights that you put in, your own spotlights and stuff, any environment maps that you loaded. It kind of makes it so that that's all that's actually loading. In the case of this scene, I'm just using regular old default Daz Studio HDR. Nothing special or shiny. So the first thing I want to get into, just one small little addendum. The D-Force Classic long curly hair actually looks better than this in iRay. I changed a couple settings just to help with kind of the load time, because it has some like shine to the hair that needs refined, and so it can make things look more pixely, so I kind of took that out. But I just didn't want to misrepresent. The hair is gorgeous. I love this hair. If you don't have it, I don't even know the PA, but totally am in love with their hair. Like I think I've bought all of them. Um, anyway, totally went off topic again. I'm fangirling. Can PAs do that? I guess we can. Yeah. um, the outfit I chose to use is Pure Grace by Panty Girl. Another one that I really love her clothing. I especially love her D-Force clothes, and I love her dresses. And this one in particular works so nicely with the shaders, and I liked so many of the results that I decided that it was the best one to use. I tried the shaders on like a billion different outfits. I mean, if I go to Smart Content, I had probably not as many clothes as some, but I mean, I had a fair bit to be able to try out on. And like tried them out on quite a few, which you can see in the promos. Um, But in this specific case, I just thought that this was kind of the best outfit I could choose for the tutorial. So, first thing I recommend doing is making sure that you have the Surfaces tab open. If you don't know where it is or don't have it open, if you go to Windows, Panes, and then go down to Surfaces, that will kick up the pane for you, and then you can drag and drop it or put it wherever you want. I tend to like it kind of over here. I have a lot of tabs. I like everything like in my face. Anyways, so I would recommend having this open. It's actually kind of pivotal that you do. You don't have to have it near this big though, but I can't seem to push it in further. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. Guess I was clicking the wrong thing. Okay. Anyways, so I would definitely advise having Surfaces open. I would also advise using the Surface Selection tool, which is right here. If you don't have these going across like this, or don't seem to have it open, or can't find it, you can go to Tools, Surface Selection. That will work too. The reason I recommend this is so when you start with any shaders, I don't care whose packs it are, whose pack it is. That's the better way to say that. Um, and there's tons of really great shader packs in the Daz store. No matter whose it is, getting to know the outfit and what the materials are is usually the fastest way to kind of be able to quickly and easily and with best effect or to best effect use any shaders. So the first thing I want to do is kind of look at the outfit, go, okay, what's here? There's a belt, there's a skirt, there's a top. And when I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, well, the belt could be one material, the skirt could be a different one, the top could be a different one, the top and the skirt could be the same, but the belt different. You kind of want to get an idea going in of what you want to change here. Also, on a quick little note, if you need to select multiple materials, I'm not going to do it on this dress because there's not a lot here. We're going to use Genesis here for this. Say you want to change all of these materials from arms to fingernails. If you click on arms and then hold shift and click fingernails, whoops, I didn't click on arms first. Hold shift and then click fingernails. That's better. You will click all of those. So click, shift, click will click everything in a row. So if I click arms and hold shift and click mouth, it's going to pick all of them down to mouth. Adverse on wow, on the tongue tied. Also, what you can do if you want to pick different ones that are not kind of in a line like that, you can click on like arms and then press control and click face and click, I don't know, torso. If you hit control, then they can be out of order. So they don't have to be all together. You can also do where you click one, hold shift, click the bottom, then press control, and click some others. Just thought that that was useful for those that may not know how to move around the surfaces pane in that way, because it's obviously a lot faster to do a bunch of stuff at once than it is to sit there and do one and then like copy and paste to one or two or three or four things, stuff like that. So also, if you do want to copy and paste, say you work on the arms and then you go, darn, I wish I would have put it on the legs too. You can right click and do copy selected surface and take it to the other one, right click, paste to selected surface. That's also worth pointing out. I think we're going to stop there as far as just the general maneuverability. I like to put kind of everything in the videos just because I know some people that are watching are newer to DS, some are veterans. If you're a veteran, sorry. If you're newer, I hope that helped. um, I also index the videos, so you can skip some of this. I usually index the little tips and points so people can kind of get past this. But so basically that's how getting through the surfaces tab works. So we're going to go back to the dress where we want to be. In this case, I want to have the skirt and the top be the same and the belt be something different. To use the shaders, you're going to come in here, and what you're going to notice is there's 20 different patterns. Feel free to use my one promo and kind of save that as kind of a key because it does show all 20 kind of easily for you. But there's 20 different patterns. Those 20 patterns each have 8 presets to them, and then there's a bunch of extra functionality past that. But for right now, we're just going to concentrate on patterns presets. So basic patterns are all going to be in here. There's all different kinds. So we'll just load up. How about we load up one from each? So this is going to be this pattern, and actually I think I'm going to back the scaling off. I'll get back to this, so don't worry too much about it for right this minute. Here, let's go to about there. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I'm just kind of randomly clicking here. This one's a bit of an odd one, and it doesn't necessarily work for everything, but it can give some really neat effects on certain kinds of fabric. So that one I will point out now is kind of a strange oddity. It does look really nice in kind of smaller patterns. Like it gives kind of this lined look. I don't know if you can see it real well in this color. Let me switch to one of the other versions of it. Where'd you go? Come back? Okay, let's use this one just to make it more visible. But so it kind of gives a neat look at smaller patterns, but it is a strange one. Like at larger sizes, it's definitely different. Would work really well, however, for like pantyhose and stuff like that, especially with the transparencies. Let's see here. I like this version of this one, so we're going to go with it. And now I need to go back up to bigger. Back to 7, where I was. Okay, there we are. Okay, so let's see. That shows the birdies. This is like just a basic, really soft pattern. You can kind of see it in the preview there. Pretty decent. It's more a general pattern. Then we've got this one, which funny enough is generally kind of a wallpaper pattern, but I had doodled it and kind of liked how it looked on the dresses. It is kind of like one of those weird kind of fundamental wallpaper patterns though. But let's see. It's this one. This one. Obviously, you could probably click through the patterns on your own. I just wanted to give kind of a basic overview of what's here and how all of them kind of look just on this one dress. It gives you a feel for kind of the general usability, I reckon. Let's go for this version of this. Some of these are really subtle. They're very pretty, but very subtle. Some of these are more lighting dependent. So depending on how you have the lights flashing on them and such, they're kind of more dynamic. Because I varied in a lot of cases, like how it looks, how the different like lines of the colors look under light. Here's loud for today. Okay, let's get through the last few of these here so I can say I showed them all. And stop the torture and madness of clicking on things you can click on. Okay, so that gets us through just the basic patterns. Can't see my poor peacock on this one. In this specific case, I am going to choose something way up here, of course. This one. Okay, so once you kind of have an idea, okay, I want to use this pattern. The next thing that you want to do is go into scaling and try to pick what scale. Do I want something really large? Do I want something smaller? Do I want something super patterned like that or like this? All of these scale settings over here are presets. They're basically changing the horizontal tile and the vertical tile over here. So if you click through, because obviously I jumped from like 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, say you load 15 and you're like, that's too big. You load 20 and you're like, that's a little too small. Feel free to just change the numbers over here to whatever you want. Like so. In this specific case, we're going to look at a couple things. One, you can do like say a skirt that is super tiled and a top that is not, like so. Or vice versa. So each material zone on your outfit, you can kind of isolate and choose different scales. That can give some really nice effects. You can even use different patterns. So use one pattern on the top part, use a different pattern on the bottom part. In this specific case though, I am going to use scale factor of 2 because I really like that on this dress. I like it bigger. The next thing we want to take a look at is I'm going to switch to perspective view because this is one of those times where having the headlamp is handy, which is because I'm going to move into texture shaded. Now I'm doing that because I'm going to do some moving of things and I want to be able to do that quickly without kind of the lag from iRay. In this particular case, regardless of what you decide to use, I would say always start with the basic patterns to kind of get an idea of which pattern you like. Do the positioning based on the basic patterns that are here, and then from there go into other folders and start monkeying with that. For the most part, the reason is because these patterns you can actually see the pattern. So I can adjust the horizontal offset to move things up or down as I deem, which in this case I'm just going to move it down kind of a wee tiny bit so that this flower is kind of a little more centered where I want it. Um, you know, you can see when you're moving, like exactly where a part or a piece is going to land, which, especially when you're working with the patterns larger, can be really handy. Once you kind of do that, then I would either kind of look at where you put stuff or even screen cap it. Um, Although honestly, I don't think you need to do that. I think I'm almost positive that none of these actually change any of those settings the way I saved them. But I'm going to double check and make sure my recollection's not bad. So let's see. Nope, didn't change it. So yes, I would most definitely start with this folder. I know it didn't seem like there was anything there when we went into the Recolor base for a second. That said, we'll get to that. It basically has to do with how those are created. But so decide your scales, decide your positioning, decide everything using kind of this the default shaders. From there, once you get the scales the way you want and lined up and matched up, and in some cases you may have to scale some things like the top and the skirt on the UV mapping may be a little off, so you may need to independently scale one or the other to kind of make them match up. Do all of that before you kind of do any of the other stuff. So once you have that all done, the next thing we want to take a look at, we're going to go back into my normal view here. Now there are ways to just do it in the camera. I could have went to cameras, turned the headlamp back on so that we could have seen that in this camera. I could have left the headlamp on while I was doing all these parts and just turned it off at the end. Could have done that too. I just decided to flip back and forth. That's usually how I do it. But okay, from here, the next thing I want to look at is this belt. Now at the moment, it's just this plain white thing just kind of hanging here. And if that's what I want, then I guess we could just kind of leave that alone and that would work. In my case though, I actually want to add some kind of texture or feel to the belt. So I am going to go into this folder, which is under Utilities, which says Alternative Normals. And in here, you're going to find a bunch of normals that can be just used to make anything kind of look like fabric. In this case, I'm going to use horizontal stripes. The way I did these is there's going to be multiple versions of kind of one type of pattern. And usually they go from largest to smallest. I'll explain why in a second, but in this case I'm going to use horizontal stripe 4 to put on that piece. I may want to scale this, and since there's no pattern here and it's just on a piece by itself and it's just adding some texture kind of or depth to just this belt, I'm going to go ahead and maybe scale it to 2 by 2 to make it kind of tighter, like a tighter horizontal line. And then from here we are going to look a little bit more specifically and close up at these alternative normals. So basically the things you need to keep in mind with the alternative normals. One, sometimes when you're using the patterns really large like this, the normals that are on it, and you can see it's got normals, may seem too big to you. Now in this case I would actually be fine with the way they are, but you may not want them this big. So the alternative normals are a way to make the weave of the fabric bigger, smaller, depending on what you need. So obviously Fancy 1, this is huge. It would not work in this case. Fancy 2, I think, was the sweet spot for this one. Actually works pretty fine. Fancy 3, it would be even tighter. It'd be kind of a tighter weave. It depends on how close you're rendering this stuff. If you're rendering it from further away, the original probably was best. Horizontal stripe. This would be the largest. It's going to be super, super subtle. You're going to see the line like right here, 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 here. I don't know how well you can see it. I can see it decently, so I think it's visible. If I go to 2, it's a bit smaller. If I go to 3, it's even smaller. If I go to 4, it's even smaller. Now, the reason I did this way is because at this point, if I thought, like, say I get to 4 and I think this is still too big, if I go to scale and start trying to scale this, it's going to scale the alternative normal and the pattern, which means all of a sudden the pattern's not going to look like this. I do believe there are ways to kind of layer like 2 shaders, but I personally am not entirely positive how to do it. It's beyond my realm of knowledge at the moment. It's something I'm kind of working on trying to understand. By all means, if somebody actually knows how to do it and wants to explain it, like in the comments, please do. I will forever appreciate it. But at the moment, I couldn't find like a tutorial or information, and I couldn't quite figure it out. So now it doesn't mean that I won't figure it out. I just haven't yet. But so for right now, obviously, if I wanted these lines to be even tighter and I change the scale, it's going to change the scale of the pattern too, which in this case I don't want. I want to leave it with the flowers big like this. We could try some of the other normals. Some of them are more quilted, some of them are more like linen or like velvet. Like, I gave a bunch of different ones at a bunch of different scales, so hopefully you can find something that suits your needs or looks nice to you. In this specific case, I am going to go for vertical stripe, either 3 or 4. Okay, so at this point, if I back off here, we have this. Now, I personally think this looks really pretty just like this. If you decided, well, you know, that's pretty and I like the positioning and everything, but I'm not crazy about the colors, you can also try some of the other presets, like, maybe I want it to be blue instead. So you can switch and try one of the other presets, see if that looks better to you. Play around with some of the other ones. There is also another option, which is to come into the white Recolor bases folder. And I'm pointing this out because these things are hiding under here, but they actually, some of this stuff does work with the base presets too. If I go in here and I go to pattern masks 1 or 2 and find the pattern that I'm on. Technically though, you don't have to use the pattern that you're on. You could actually load these and mix patterns, which I might do for fun in a minute here. But if you find the pattern you're on, which in this case we're on Flowers 01, you'll see the masks for that pattern. Now in this case I have 2 different ones, and I'm going to use Flower Mask 2. Load that mask, and there's also directions up here, just how to use it, what to watch for. There's a bunch of different, and actually this tip does show like 2 patterns mixed, just to give an idea. But if you load that and then come over here, what you want to do is change the diffuse overlay color, and now you can basically make this whatever that specific area, whatever color you'd like. If I click this one, it's now going to switch, and now that mask is targeting a different area. So you can very quickly and very easily change a fair bit the look of the fabrics and cloths just using the presets and then coming in and playing with the masks. There's also a mask 2 and you can use masks 1 and 2 together as long as you're using two different masks. So right now for masks 1, I used this fancy mask 1. I can't use that one again. Well, technically I could, but it wouldn't get you too much excitement results wise. On the other hand, if I use one of the other masks, so in this case mask 2, now what I can do is literally come down to metallic flakes, because that's mask 2 is using metallic flakes, mask 1 is using alternate diffuse. But if I come to mask 2, I can now further customize, and it does actually give a fairly decent and fairly different look to the other. I don't know what I want to make this look like, but just to give you an idea, that's some really bright colors there. She's going, I don't know, on vacation. Looks like a vacation outfit to me. But from here, if I was to double click this one, it's going to load it onto the other mask, but as you see, now it's going to kind of combine the two colors, so you can kind of see the orange a little bit through the purple. I don't know if you can see it closer up, like just a little tiny bit. You can see like orange flecks from behind. So you can combine two on top of each other like that, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Granted, it does make the depth of it kind of thicker, funny enough, doing it that way. But in general, I would shoot for, if you want to mix colors, then go to one folder, do one mask, go to the other folder, pick the other mask. Also, say you do all that playing and you're like, actually, I liked the original, whatever I had initially, better. Or I don't like these colors and I just want to start over. There is a remove mask for this folder, and then a separate remove mask for this one. So you can remove only one, remove the other, remove both, and now we're back to where we started. Okay, so I think that covers the basics of all of that. The next thing I want to take a look at is using the white color bases. Now, when you get into these ones, it gets, I think personally, especially fun. In this case, I'm going to pick, well, no, I'm still going to stick with these two for right now. If I go to this specific pattern, go to the white base for it, which is Flowers Are One, that's the one we're working on, and double click, now it is going to load up a very, very white base for this, which actually looks very ethereal and pretty. It's one of the reasons why I like having white bases. Beyond that though, now we can kind of fully customize this entire pattern. So if I load that up, now I'm going to select the belt, the skirt, and the top. I'm going to go into white base colors. Now these are going to be just solid colors. They're just solid base colors. And I can pick, like, we'll say dark gray. Okay, so far I've got pretty much a really dark gray, almost semi-black. This one's closer to black, but an almost semi-black dress going here. From here I can go to skirt and top and do what we just did a second ago, which is load up some of these masks. So we'll say this is going to be mask 1. And then I'm going to change the color to, this is where audience participation would be handy because I never know what to pick. We're going to say this blue, and then we're going to change mask 2, this one, and we're going to make that one purple. Let's try purple, see how that looks. So now I have a black, blue, and purple dress. Personally though, I feel like maybe this should be purple and that should be blue. I don't know. I feel like this color should be lighter. Let's say we do it like that. So silver. I like that better. Now, there's also some extra presets in these folders. So if I come all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see these that say like roughness 0, 0, 20, 40, so on and so forth. You can change the roughness on the metallic flakes. So I think it loads in at 0. If I go to 100, it's going to look like this, which means now it's just a solid color, really doesn't look metallic at all. Looks like that at 60, so it's a little flatter. There are also presets like this right here for metallicity on the other pattern masks. So this would be metallicity 100. Did it up it? Okay, metallicity 100 on that. You can also change the overlay strength, which if you use the metallicity, you have to back off the overlay strength a little bit for it to kind of pop through, I noticed. So now you can start seeing kind of the metallicity of that a little bit. Oh wait, put that back to that. Went to back off the strength. That's going to make that darker. I feel like 50-ish, 60-ish is kind of the sweet spot for that. And so, okay, there you have it. Now, I could come in here and decide, I don't want the middle fillet in, and do that. I could alternatively, well, let's just do this. Turn that back on. I could also go into this pattern mask and decide to just get rid of this mask. Now I have this. As you can see, the masking can substantially change the look and the feel of the patterns, what's showing. It's definitely worth pointing out. Also, the white base colors can be used to change the diffuse on anything, actually. I played with these on all kinds of stuff the other day. But so I can make this belt green. I can now come in here and go to skirt and top, and well, that's kind of more teal. Anyways, I could come in here and change those and I don't know, make them this color. Now we've got a completely different dress or a completely different look. That should give you the basic overview of how to kind of play and kind of change and customize these all within DS within just a few clicks. I went real long and involved to kind of go through every single thing you could do. That said, when you're actually playing with it, it's quick. It's like, okay, double click, try this out, go to belt, go to colors. Let's say I want to have kind of a darker belt. Maybe I'll go black, actually. Come back to these two. I don't like the scale. This is my quick and dirty version of this. So I'm going to come in here, change the scale. I want it a little bigger. Come maybe to here. You know what? I feel like I want another color in here. Let me go to pattern masks. What is this one? Actually, I didn't pay attention. If you didn't pay attention, you can look right here, beaded 02. But okay, so beaded 02. Let's see, I've got 2 masks for that one, 3 masks. Got 3 masks for beaded 02. So which part do I want to change the color of? think I'll leave that part alone. I think I'll leave that alone. I think I'll do this one. So loaded that mask in. Change the color. What do I want it to be, pray tell? We are going to go with something a little more saturated than that, like a more goldy color, maybe a little more saturation actually. Want it to look a little different than the other ones. There you go. Now I've got kind of two different metallics going, and that's it. I mean, that's how fast that took to do that. Obviously I could match this to this red. So I could try to come in here and tweak and make this kind of a darker red. I'd suggest kind of putting it around the clothing. You can swatch it from other apps and stuff like that. I really wish there was a color picker in here. I do know there's a utility in the store though that I actually bought that will let you color pick. But eyeballing it in this case will work. I also will say that if you custom, like completely customize a color, don't use my presets. Like say you sit here and try to tweak and find the perfect red. When you find it, drag and drop it there, so then you can use it again in other places if you need it. Just little additional trick. But so that's how fast you can actually get a texture together clicking. I just wanted to show that it doesn't take near as long as my long-windedness made it seem. Okay, so next I want to open up a new scene here, which is this one. This scene is using the following products. So we still got a Pose by Eliandra in here, Brandy for Jenny 8, the classic bikini for Genesis 8, and then Delphi, I'm not sure which way you say that, hair for Genesis 3 and Genesis 8 females. As with the other hair, I did tweak some of the settings just to have it load a little faster. It's shinier and prettier. It's very pretty hair, just like the curly hair is, or at least I think so. But so now what I want to get into is actually using the transparencies. So just we've got Poncho 1 loaded from Divine Drapes, and I've simulated it and done all that already. I'm going to first pick a fabric, which in this case I'm really partial to Beaded 02. Okay, now that is the default scale. I'm going to scale that down. You will find that most of the time, like what I thought the default scale was 4x4. So that's what I thought was the most optimal. That said, obviously I've been using them bigger, smaller, but 4x4 was kind of my intended scale. From here, we know we're on Beaded 02. We're going to go into Transparencies, and we're going to look at Beaded 02's Transparencies. And in this specific case, I'm going to make another camera again. Going to turn off the headlamp, and I am going to use this one to kind of zoom in so we can see better. Okay, so we've got our poncho. There is one material zone on this. This is the kind of thing where you can have a lot of fun with transparencies and stuff by actually hand texturing it, which I'm actually going to show in another video using Substance Painter. But for the sake of this specific part of the tutorial, we're just going to go over the preset stuff. So, okay, Beaded 02, we have basically 6 transparencies. So we're going to click through those to kind of get a feel for what they do. Basically, they're going to make it more or less transparent, and different parts are going to turn on and off, which you're going to see as we go. Now, some of these parts, because they've got a metallic sheen on it, make it difficult to see the transparency. And I don't even know if I get real close if you can kind of tell that it's transparent. But right now, these parts right in here actually do have, well, these ones do, and these ones do, have transparency on them. But it's more subtle because there's actually, like right here, it's more subtle because there's actually some metallicity on those parts too, which gives it kind of a little bit of a sparkle to the skin that's showing through. Went, okay, we're going to go with, say, this transparency for right now. Just so I can give an idea of what it'll look like when you mix the transparencies with the masks, with all the other stuff. So here we're going to zoom back out again, just to make this easier. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to hide my cameras so they're not in our way. Okay. So from here, I could go to white color bases. This was Beaded 02, I believe. That said, if you can't remember, you can always hover the folder names, the pattern names, everything. It'll repeat the pattern name over and over again. I tried to make it easy so people didn't get confused. Okay, so we're going to load up the Beaded 02 white base. So now we've got the white base with that transparency loaded, which is actually really, really pretty. I could come in here and do default colors, obviously. So now you can get all kinds of different color lacing on here. Let's see if I want to go with a black, deep like wine color, orange. It's kind of any color you kind of want here. And I tried to do these colors like in kind of shades, like a progression of the color wheel. So there's a little bit of everything. Now, granted, I can't hit every color, so the way I worked it is like, say you want a blue, this should get you close, and then from here, you can kind of tweak it darker, tweak it lighter, take some of the saturation out, put some more in, kind of deal. Say you wanted to do that to get the color you want. And then, like I said, if you customize like that, make sure you drag and drop so you have it later. But okay, for this, we're going to say that I actually just want to stick kind of with the white. So I'm actually going to load up this kind of, I think we'll go for the more white one. Okay, so from here, we're going to play with the masks. So we're going to go to the pattern masks. We're going to go to Beaded 02. I'm going to load up mask 1 and change one of these colors. I don't know what color I want. Now the first thing you're going to see is, hey, it doesn't seem, I changed the diffuse color, it doesn't seem like anything happened. In this case, it's because the metallicity is really high, and that doesn't always get along, so you can either try to turn down the metallicity or turn down the overlay strength. I usually turn down the overlay. But hey, look, nothing is happening still. That's because the part of this mask that is actually supposed to be showing looks like it might actually be the part that's in the transparency potentially. It's possible. The easiest way to find out is to turn this up and turn this all the way down and see if the color pops out. If it does, then it's potentially the metallicity, but it could still be the transparency. It's the metallicity. So, okay, we need to turn the metallicity, in this specific case, down. That's why I included these. If you absolutely positively wanted this color to be more metallic, I would suggest actually loading it into Metal 2, or into the metallicity. But okay, so we've got our color 1. Now we're going to go to the pattern again. We're going to go to the beaded 2 masks. We're going to pick a different one, like this one. Now this time we did load it into the metallicity channel, or into the metallic flakes channel rather. And now we're going to pick a different color. Maybe we'll pick a different one yet. We'll go for like a gold. Maybe we'll come back to this one and decide to pick a different color, like, I don't know, some kind of deeper gray. You can actually get some very, very pretty variations on things. I've played with this one specifically a bunch because I really like it, especially with the transparencies. Let's try one of the other. Let's do this one. Okay. I'll turn it purple. Turn the metallicity back up a little bit. If you hear a meow, it's my kitten. He has decided it is playtime, not work time, and he is very not happy with me. Meow. What? What do you want? Anyway, I promise I will play with him when I am done. I promise. No, you cannot help me. Anyway, so that quick, you can see how you can you can see how you could customize different colors and kind of change the look of things. If you don't like how some of the masks are working, you can take that mask off, just have the other one. You can switch which masks you're using or which ones you want. Switch it to a different mask, and now you have a different look. Change the colors some more. Get something more different still. Do something a little bit brighter here. Let's go for, I don't know, hot pink. Hot pink metallic. But you can see how fairly quickly and fairly easily you can kind of get really, really unique and different looks and feels and colors and styles just from varying the different transparencies, the different colors, and none of it is really kind of difficult, or none of it really takes very long to kind of go through and change the look or the feel, and in some cases pretty drastically. But so I think this pretty well covers what you can do as far as this. I know some of this I didn't let it render out very long, and hopefully I didn't move too fast there. But it gives you an idea of, you know, kind of what you can do. Whoops, gotta be clicked on the surface. It gives you an idea of how you can fairly quickly and easily change up the looks of these things and use them in kind of completely different ways. Um, and from here, because I did it this way, obviously you could go like this, and now you're mixing all of these colors. So now you've got a blue and a green, and a blue and a light green. Just worth pointing out how fast that is and how I did it. And boy, are you throwing me off, Sir Whines-a-lot. But okay, I'm going to stop this video here. I think that gives a pretty decent overview of how this can look. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to post them at the bottom of the video, or feel free to ask me in the DAZ 3D forums. Most likely I will have a, well, definitely I'll have a thread for this there. Other than that, see, now I'm sitting here just babbling while I tinker. That's terrible, because I kind of really think that the blue is really pretty. Anyways, where's Elsa when I need her? Anyway, anyways, like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Please, rather, feel free to ask me. And just real quick, if you haven't seen it, please be sure to check out our website, which is art-collaborations.com. There's product overviews, there's articles, there's links to these video tutorials, there's a place to contact us, various artwork, kind of a little bit of everything there if you've not seen it before. Check it out. And other than that, thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in how to use these textures as a merchant resource within Substance Painter or another app, please look for the next video, which will be covering that. And thank you very, very much, and I hope you have a really nice evening.